Good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many of you dialing in today, and kalimera σας to all our participants in Greece. There's quite a few of you this morning, so thanks very much for joining me. I'm very pleased that you've been able to take the time to listen and watch to this morning's webinar. And this morning's webinar is all about personal power. It's all about how we have that inner strength, that energy, that drive, that motivation to push us towards our success and really get what we want from our lives, rather than what we feel we've been given. So during the webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about what removes our personal power, what takes it away, and more importantly, how we can get it back and keep it and use it for our own intention so that we can strive towards our goals and really get what we want. So before we start, let's talk about empowerment, because empowerment is a word that probably means something different to everybody. When I run my NLP course trainings, I ask my participants, what does empowerment mean to you? And I get a room full of different answers. So let's have a think about what empowerment could mean to you. It could mean success. It could mean energy. It could mean motivation. It could mean having all and everything you need, all the resources to get what you want in your life. So have a little think about it. What does empowerment mean for you? Now, in the context of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we have a very particular way of describing empowerment. And this gives us a lot of information about where our personal power goes when we don't have it. So let's think about this very simple pattern, cause and effect. So when we're at effect, so we're on that side of the equation, we have reasons why our life isn't how we want it. Now, I describe this in every single training I do because it's a really important concept. Because without your empowerment, your personal power, it's very hard to get out of the rut that you're stuck in. So think about it. When you think about how your life is right now across any context, work, your career, relationships, social life, sporting life, whichever part of your life, or maybe just life as a holistic whole, think about where do you attribute the cause of your life? And do you have reasons, and let's face it, excuses, why your life isn't how you want it? We all push that responsibility outside of ourselves at some point in our lives. So you might hear people saying, or maybe you've heard yourself say more than once, I don't have what I want because. And then you attribute that reason to somebody or something outside of yourself. Because of my family, because I had children, because of my partner, people who share my life who are not here a lot, maybe they work away and so I have to take responsibility for other things. Maybe aging parents, maybe a demanding job, maybe the government, maybe the world. There's been some pretty major changes over the last few months for everybody in the world. And so how are we going to react? Are we going to give away our personal power, or are we going to take it back? So if you've thought of lots of reasons and excuses why your life isn't how you want to, let's leave them behind. Because when you attribute not having what you want to something outside of yourself, you've given away your personal power to all of those people and all of those things, because they're the things that have responsibility for why your life is like it is. So how do we take that personal power back? Well, it's very easy. We move to the cause side of the equation, and this is where we become responsible for our own results. And once you stop giving reasons and excuses that are outside of yourself and bring the responsibility back inside, that's a wonderful, empowering feeling because you've just taken your personal power back. You are no longer at the behest of everyone else and everything. You are responsible for you. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about blaming yourself for why your life is like it is. No, because your life is like it is as a direct result of all of the decisions and all of the choices that you've made throughout your life. And a lot of those will be made at the unconscious level. Some of them will be conscious choices, and a very many would have been made at the unconscious level. So it's not about blaming yourself, it's about taking responsibility. And you'll find that once you do that, once you move yourself to cause, then you find that you take back your personal power and you start to get results. That's how you create empowerment. So ask yourself the question, well, which side are you on right now? And be honest. And if you're at the effect side, think, well, what am I believing about myself that is causing me to have all these reasons and excuses? For example, when people call me up and talk about coming to join me on a live NLP coach practitioner training, they usually come out with some reasons why they can't, which is an interesting psychology, isn't it? So we talk about why they can't come on the training. Very interesting. And it's usually something to do with, well, I don't have enough money, or I have young children that need caring for, or my partner's away an awful lot, or with a lot of my clients, I have horses that need looking after, or my job is just too demanding to take the time off. And I say to them, well, are any of those things going to go away? And they say, well, no. I say, okay, so how are you going to create your personal power so that you can come and do this training? Because I know you really want to. And when you take the training, you'll learn how to manage all of those things and how to do them better, how to be more successful. Now, that has a certain effect because it means quite often getting out of your comfort zone. Oh yeah, getting out of your comfort zone. And we all have one. We have a grey zone within our lives. We have a grey zone that sits between our life being really, really good and really, really bad. So the quality of our life and how that works. And most of us will spend most of our time in that grey zone. So occasionally life might feel really bad. And occasionally it might feel really good. And it's when life feels really good that we take back our personal power. We become energized and motivated. And that means stepping outside of your grey zone, outside of your comfort zone. And, you know, a comfort zone is where you feel most comfortable. You know what you're doing, you know who you're with, you know your environment, and it's comfortable. And then you meet a challenge and you step outside of it just a little bit. And it feels challenging. That's when your comfort zone starts to grow. So the more time you spend out of your comfort zone, the more it'll expand. And that means you'll become comfortable in operating in a much wider range of environments. So think about it. How often in your day do you spend in your comfort zone? And how often do you step outside of it, even for a little moment? So my challenge for you today is step outside your comfort zone. Just for a little while. Just something small. So that your comfort zone begins to grow. And as your comfort zone gets bigger, then more of your time can be spent in that really good section. Taking back your personal power and your energy. So what are you going to do today to step out of your comfort zone? Now earlier I mentioned that a lot of the decisions and choices that you've made that have led you to where you are now were made at the unconscious level. So let's just have a little chat about the unconscious mind. You might have heard it referred to as the subconscious mind in some environments. In NLP terms, we like to call it the unconscious mind. And the reason for that is very simple. The term subconscious kind of implicates that the subconscious comes below the conscious, like it's a lesser mind. And actually, the opposite is true. So you'll see in this sphere here, which is representing the totality of our mind, that the unconscious part is actually a bigger portion than the conscious part, and that's intentional. Because your unconscious mind is a much larger, faster working, more powerful mind than your conscious mind. So your conscious mind is the mind that is active right now. It's the mind that's listening, watching, and processing what I'm telling you. Now, the unconscious mind is simply that part of your mind that you're not consciously aware of right now. It's the part that's having you breathe whilst you're watching and listening. It's the part that's digesting your breakfast or that cup of tea. It's the part that's running your body. It's the part that's processing everything that you're learning. Everything that you're seeing and hearing and feeling today, your unconscious mind is storing it. And it's filing it away to make sense of it. So there's an awful lot going on in your unconscious mind. So let's have a look at some of the ways that our unconscious mind is processing our information. And this is what we call the NLP model of communication. And it's one of the fundamentals of NLP that tells us how we process and how we create the behavior and the habits and the emotional content that we create. So, events happen outside of us, life. And that comes into our neurology through our 5 senses, which are visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. So our sight, our hearing, our sense of feeling and touch, our smells, and our taste. And that comes into our neurology in a massive amount of information. It's something in the order of 2 million bits per second. Now, that's an absolutely massive amount of information. And of course, our conscious mind can't deal with that. It's too much. And so we have our friendly unconscious mind to go through a filtering system. So, outside of our conscious awareness, we delete some of the information, we distort some of it, and we generalize some of it. And that means that we can create our own internal representation of those events that we've experienced. Now, that internal representation is unique to each and every one of you. And it's made up of only around 134 bits per second of that 2 million bits of information. Wow, so you've really filtered it down. That's less than 0.1% of what was there in the first place. And this is why we are all unique. This is why we have different opinions, different viewpoints, different ways of representing our world, because we each select a different 134 bits of information. That then creates our emotional state. So if we have an internal representation that has a lot of anger attached to it, then we feel angry. If we have an internal representation that has lots of joy and happiness attached to it, then we feel joyful and happy. So your emotions are being created by your internal representation in your unconscious mind. So emotions are coming to you unconsciously. And of course, that then affects your body, your physiology. Because you know yourself, when you feel happy, your body feels a certain way. And when you feel sad, your body feels another way. And we get a feedback loop. So our physiology then affects our emotional state, which affects our internal representation, and so on. And so it's very easy to get stuck in a certain emotional state. That all then produces our external behaviour. So consider this: if we want to be motivated and energised and full of personal power and determination and confidence, then we need an internal representation that matches that, so that we can produce the emotional state that we need, the physiology that we need, and then produce the correct behaviour. Let's play for a moment. Let's play with our internal representations. And this is a very quick little NLP technique called the motivation builder. So why don't you just go ahead and play along? This is what we're going to do. I want you to think of a time, a specific time when you were really motivated. I mean really motivated, full of power, full of energy. Think of a specific time in your past, across any context of your life, when you were really motivated. I just want you to think of that now. You can close your eyes if you like, or keep them open. It doesn't matter. However's best for you. So think of a time, a specific time when you were really motivated. And in your mind, I just want you to go back to that time now. Go back to that time now. Float down into your body. Hear what you heard, see what you saw, and really feel those feelings of being totally motivated. Just do it now. Feel really, really motivated, as if you were there. Back down into your body, really, really feeling that motivation. Really, really feeling that motivation. And when you feel it, I want you to notice the representation that you have in your mind. Might be a picture, might be sounds, there might be smells and tastes involved. Notice that picture that you have in your mind. Good. Now we're going to play. So I want you to make that picture small and dark. Do that now. Make it small and dark. And I want you to imagine zooming it away from you, right up into the corner, the top corner of the room that you're in. Way, way away from you. And notice what happens to the motivation. Wow, it's gone, hasn't it? Now, as that picture's up there in the top corner, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to zoom it back to you. And as you zoom it back, I want you to make it big and bright and colourful and full of motivation and energy. And I want you to have it hit your whole body. Blah. So go ahead and zoom it back. Zoom. Blah. So it hits you. Full of motivation, big, bright and powerful. Good. And just enjoy that motivation and energy just for a moment. And now I want you to make it small and dark again. Small and dark, and zoom it off into the corner. And now I want you to bring it back again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Blah, all over you. Really strong energy and powerful. Good. Enjoy that motivation. And one more time. Make it small and dark. Zoom it away from you to the top corner. Good. And now let's zoom it back, big, bright and colourful. Ready? Zoom. Boom. Right back in it again. Right back in it, motivated and energetic. Now you know how to play with the representations in your mind to create instant motivation. Good, huh? Now let's think a bit more about our friend, the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind really is our friend. Your unconscious mind is responsible for storing and organising all of your memories. Yep, all of them. And you're not consciously aware of that. So it's storing and organising all of your memories. It's running your body, including your energy levels. We've already noticed it's the domain of the emotions. We don't consciously create emotions. They come at the unconscious level. And here's the thing, your unconscious mind needs clear orders to follow. It needs to know exactly what you want. So it really pays to focus on what you want. So if you want that energy and that power You need to focus on it. We've also noticed that the unconscious mind is highly metaphorical and symbolic. That internal representation that you have, moving the picture away small and dark and bringing it back, it was all symbolic. And your unconscious mind responded to it immediately. So your unconscious mind is very, very powerful. Now, the fact that it stores and organizes all of your memories is very useful to us, because every memory that you have has emotional content attached to it. So there'll be memories stored in a file in your unconscious mind that say happy, and some that say sad, and some that say angry. And so your unconscious mind is storing all of these memories for you. Now, here's the thing. If you've got a lot of memories with negative emotion attached to them, they're all stored within your body, within your neurology, and that causes blockages to your energy. Now, we know this because of the thing that we call the mind-body connection. And the mind-body connection has been scientifically proven many times over. Now, in the early days of working with our brains and working with our neurology in science, in medical science, they noticed something called neurochemicals, neurotransmitters. And originally, science thought that these neurotransmitters, these chemicals, were only apparent in our brain. And scientific research since then has shown that actually these chemicals, these neurotransmitters, occur across every cell in our body. Now, that's interesting to us in NLP because it means that all of your neurotransmitters, all of the communication that's going on throughout the structure that we call your brain, is also having effect all the way through your body. So the mind-body connection is very, very real. So a bit of O-level biology or GCSE, depending on your age. Our communications come into our body as information, as electric impulses. And these go into our neurons. And remember, neurons have dendrites, little branchy bits. And to bridge the gap between two neurons, we have what we call the synaptic gap. And this is where our neurotransmitters operate. So the messages go across the synaptic gap to the new neuron and then get passed through our body as information. So our neurotransmitters bathe every cell in our body. And this is good news because our unconscious mind is responsible for running our body. And so our unconscious mind is responsible for creating energy, for creating power, for giving us everything we need to be successful and to achieve everything we want. Now, the thing is, our experiences and our life and how we think consciously can block that energy from moving around our body. So let's think about what can cause blockages and how we go about removing those blockages so that our energy can move around our body. It can make us feel motivated and that we have all the personal power we need to get through each and every day in the most successful way. So energy blocks are caused by negative emotions. Negative emotions from our past that are still stored within our body. Negative emotions like anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Now, you're not stuck with those negative emotions from those memories because in our NLP coach practitioner training, you will learn timeline therapy techniques. And timeline therapy techniques are the only techniques available in the personal development world today that actually remove negative emotions from your past and create a feedback loop so that negative emotion in the future is only appropriate and that when you feel it, you're able to process it and let it go immediately. So no more storing that negative emotion, so it blocks your energy. Limiting beliefs about yourself and your world and your reality also block your energy. Think about what it is that you believe about yourself that's blocking you from being totally successful and moving forward with the life that you want. And again, using timeline therapy techniques, we can remove those limiting beliefs. Notice I keep using the word remove. We're not talking about managing emotions and beliefs, because that implies that you're going to carry on doing them just in a controlled way. No, that's not good enough for us in NLP. In NLP, we want to remove them completely. This works. Not only have I experienced this time and time again for myself, I also work with coaches day in, day out, where we remove their negative emotions and limiting beliefs. And as soon as those negative emotions and limiting beliefs are gone, then your energy returns. Internal conflicts also block our energy. So internal conflicts where on the one hand you believe one thing, on the other hand you believe something else. And those two beliefs just become conflicted. And that takes up so much of your energy. So think about that. Is there something that you believe about yourself some of the time, and the rest of the time you believe something totally different? So for example, part of the time you might think, I'm good enough, I can succeed, I can do this. And then on the other hand, you think, oh, no, I can't, I'm no good, I'm rubbish, I can't do this. And that internal conflict is with you 24/7, 365 days a year. Imagine if you lived with somebody and you argued with them 24/7, 365 days a year, and how much energy that would take to maintain that argument. That's what's happening if you have an internal conflict. And in NLP, we have a lovely technique called parts integration, which removes internal conflicts and releases an enormous amount of energy for you. Another thing that blocks our energy are values that we have that are unfulfilled or violated. So values are some of our deepest seated forms of our personality, highly unconscious. So values are what's important to us. They're the things we're willing to expend energy upon. They generate our motivation. That's how we assess what's right and wrong, what's good, what's not, and what we're willing to give time and energy to. And our highly valued criteria are our most important values, because values come in a hierarchy. Now, clustered around those values are our beliefs. So those are our convictions which we trust as being true. And those collections of beliefs and values give us our attitudes. And again, all of these things can help us to get our power back and be motivated. So if you have a value that's not being fulfilled or is being violated by some part of your life, then that will take away your personal power and decrease your motivation. Let's just think about that for one moment. What are you best at? Starting things, changing things, or stopping things? So by starting things, I mean things we've started but not completed. Changing things, things that are ongoing, not completed. And stopping things, things that are almost completed but you just can't stop doing. So what are you best at? And what are you worst at? Starting things, changing things, or stopping things? Now, if you're worst at starting things, that's about being. So if your answer was, I'm worse at starting things, ask yourself, what am I not being that I want to be? If you're worst at changing things, that's about doing. Ask yourself, what am I not doing that I want to do? And if you're worst at stopping things, ask yourself, what am I not having that I want to have? These are pulling out unfulfilled values. And anything that's an unfulfilled value is blocking your energy. So the great news is, if you're feeling low on energy, low on motivation, low on personal power, then there are a great many things that you can do to get it back, claim it back, because it's yours. When we align our values, we get motivation and energy. So a few things for you to think about. Do you have negative emotions, limiting beliefs, internal conflicts, misaligned values? And if so, these are all ways that you can get back your personal power. So I hope you've enjoyed that little insight into pressing the power button. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? You can just use the chat button and go ahead and ask a question. I'll just give you a moment to fill the chat in if you'd like to ask a question. Oh, okay, no questions today. So how do you go about pushing the power button for yourself? Come and take our live training. Even if you don't want to be a coach or a practitioner of NLP, the whole experience of learning how to manage your own power, your own energy, and get what you want for yourself is one of the key outcomes of this training. So our next one is from the 4th to the 11th of March in Rochdale and Greater Manchester. So as usual, I have a gift for you. Now, during this training, you will get 4 board accredited certifications. And the standard price for that is $1,995, which is very competitive as it is. But today, I have one very exclusive place for $1,495. That's a £500 discount. And if you think about it, for that sort of price, the price of a holiday, a family holiday, you can get back your personal power. You can change your life in this training if you choose to. So the investment is actually very small for a training that could change the way you think, the way you use your mind, and the way you go forward from here on in. So the first person to get in touch and say they would like that place will get it. And here's how you get in touch: through our landline number, which is local rate 0845 467 3039, or my mobile number 07722 007204, or just email me your number, christine@qfscoaching.co.uk, and I'll call you back. And you can see all the detail of what you've heard at our website, all the W's, qfscoaching.com. Well, everybody, thanks once again for joining me. I do appreciate your support, and I hope you'll join us for the next webinar. So watch this space, keep an eye on your email and Facebook and LinkedIn for details of the next webinar. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you soon.